Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu and I'm back with another Digimon video. So today I'm going to be doing a bit of an early meta-analysis on the Special Booster 1.0 for the English release of the game. So we already know everything that's going to be happening in Special Booster 1.0, and alongside that we already know what's going to be coming out with the starter decks as well. So we should have enough information based on that and looking at the results of what's been happening in Japan to kind of formulate a bit of an early meta. Yes, we do have a couple of Booster Set 3 cards, so those might come into play, but that is yet to be seen, but I could be completely wrong about that. But again, this is just my personal opinion on what I feel like are going to be the top decks coming out of Special Booster 1.0, at least early on. Obviously, the first big deck, the one that a lot of people are going to be playing or wants to play, is going to be Omnimon. So Omnimon, whether you play him in red or you play him in blue, it doesn't necessarily matter because the deck is doing some very, very similar things. It's just changing up a little bit of its tools based on the color. I personally think red Omnimon is better than blue Omnimon, but it's just an Omnimon deck regardless. So what Omnimon, the deck, is doing is basically they're playing a whole bunch of different value cards to try to digivolve into Omnimon as quickly and efficiently as possible. Because he is a level 7, he does require a little bit more setup, but the payoff is definitely well worth the setup. So not only is Omnimon the Digimon with the current highest base DP in the game, which means he's going to win a lot of natural security checks and a lot of trades, but he also has two very, very powerful abilities. So his first ability is when you digivolve him, you get to choose one of your opponent's Digimon and then just delete it, and all Digimon of the same name will also get deleted. So you don't really necessarily care about the same name part because that isn't going to happen as often as you would like it or you would think it would, but the big idea is that you're still just removing the biggest and most powerful Digimon on the opponent's field. So being able to, on Digivolve, just remove the opponent's biggest threat is very, very powerful because that forces them to basically go all the way back and try to rebuild. And then on top of that, he even has a when attacking skill. You could basically unsuspend this Digimon by returning one Digimon that's level 6 from his Digivolution source back into your hand. So even though you could really only do this ability once, sometimes once is all you need, and being able to multi-attack is just very, very powerful. So blue has a whole bunch of good on-attack skills that you could utilize and capitalize this with. Red has a security attack that you could enhance his ability with, so that way he could swing for potentially 4 security. He's just going to be a very, very powerful and potent card, and as such, he is going to be one of the top decks in the game coming out of Special Booster 1.0. Now, the next deck that I think is going to be one of the most powerful decks in Special Booster 1.0 is actually going to be Rookie Rush. So, Rookie Rush is definitely a deck you don't want to sleep on because of just how powerful and effective and efficient it is at not only playing its Digimon, but being able to deal damage to the opponent. The whole idea behind Rookie Rush is you're going for a more quantity of attacks over quality of attacks, and because you're playing your Digimon for very, very low cost, because they are the lowest level Digimon you could play, you can potentially starve the opponent of a lot of potential resources and then use that starvation to try to swing in and outrace the opponent. And then if the opponent starts to outrace you, then you have a card like Puppetmon here, where basically you get to lock all of your opponent's rested Digimon down on top of resting a Digimon on his on-play ability. So not only with his on-play ability means you don't need to Digivolve up into him to get his abilities off, but the abilities you are getting are just very, very powerful, because one thing that can stop Rookie Rush is just a solid line of blockers, then your rookies just can't necessarily go in. So being able to rest one of your opponent's Digimon and keep it rested is very, very powerful, on top of which, if you are somehow losing the damage race then being able to lock all of your opponent's Digimon from standing just kind of doubly ensures that you're going to start winning the damage race. And then he even has another on-attacking ability that you could benefit from by gaining 1 memory. So gaining 1 memory, even though it doesn't necessarily seem like a lot, when all of your cards cost like 2 or 3 on average, it basically can change which types of cards you want to play and which cards you are going to play. So that way, you could effectively still try to starve the opponent of their resources by leaving them with as little memory as possible, and this when attacking skill definitely can help play into that, on top of, again, being able to lock your opponent's field down from trying to like reasonably kill you is one big thing to Rookie Rush. Yes, I do understand that Volcanodramon is in the set, and Volcanodramon is a, like, soft hard counter, I guess, to the deck. Like, Volcanodramon blowing up all of your rookies does hurt, but because Rookie Rush is just very efficient at what it does, even though they could blow up all of your rookies, you could just have the ability to rebuild and replay your board and then swing in the next turn. So it's not like it's exactly the hardest counter. It does suck when it happens, but like most of the time you're only going to have like maybe 2-3 rookies at max, because half the time they're just suiciding into the opponent's security anyway. And you don't necessarily care if they live or die. Obviously you'd want them to live because then that means that they get another attack through. But you just care about just having the security check in general. So I think with the lack of effective tools to stop or mitigate Rookie Rush, I think it's definitely going to be one of the top decks coming out of Special Booster 1.0. And then the last big deck that is going to be coming out of Special Booster 1.0 is going to be the Piedmon Purple deck. So the Piedmon Purple deck basically is a deck that is more tempo orientated, and they are very, very value-based. So you want to get as much efficiency and value out of your cards, and Purple definitely has a lot of good, solid tools to utilize that. And Piedmon is just one of the best tools to utilize that with, because one of Purple's key strategies is filling up your trash. And Piedmon has a really, really powerful when played ability or on play ability, where you get to put up to 2 Digimon that are level 4 or lower that are purple from your trash without paying their memory cost. And then you don't get their on-play effects, but most of the time they don't have on-play effects, so you don't really care about that. That's just for future-proofing. But essentially, for the cost of 12 memory, which might seem like a lot, you're getting 3 bodies on board, and that's a lot of pressure that the opponent is then going to have to figure out how to deal with, and not a lot of decks have multi-point removal, so being able to deal with 3 bodies on board is going to be very, very hard, because most of the time, again, they have single point removal, and they'll just target the Piedmon, because he's obviously the largest Digimon on the field, so that makes him the largest threat. On top of which, Piedmon has a nice ability called Retaliation, where basically it doesn't matter if this Digimon wins or loses against attacking into another opponent's Digimon, the Digimon is going to get destroyed anyway. So this could swing into potentially something like an Omnimon, and then Omnimon is just going to straight up die, and then on top of which you still have gotten 2 bodies that they have to deal with. So this card is kind of similar to how like Rookie Rush kind of wants to play, except it's a little bit more efficient because you're just putting more bodies all at once, and that pressure is going to be very, very hard for the opponent to deal with. On top of which, Piedmon has a whole bunch of really solid support cards where you could potentially play Beelzemon for more removal. You could play Chimeramon for more removal. Like, it's a very tit-for-tat, tempo control orientated deck that just slams down Piedmon and then just proceeds to win the game because there's just so much pressure on the opponent to try to have a solid enough of a response. So I think Piedmon Purple is definitely going to be one of the top decks to come out of Special Booster 1.0. Now, I'm not saying that those 3 decks are going to be the end-all be-all. They are going to be some of the strongest and most potent and powerful decks coming out of Special Booster 1.0. Now, there's still a lot of unknowns and a lot to play with when it comes to Special Booster 1.0, because we still have these unknown variables of what these cards can do, from Booster Set 3. So potentially a Lilithmon deck could come out of the woodworks and start topping over Piedmon. I don't necessarily think that's really going to be the case, considering Lilithmon doesn't have all of her support in the set, but it could happen. You could use Boltmon and Hyandramon for a Millenniumon Turbo deck. That could definitely start happening and start forming. And that deck plays very, very similarly to how Omnimon operates, where you just turbo into your level 7, use its ability to remove the opponent's field, except the big difference with Millenniumon over Omnimon is he is a little bit weaker in terms of DP, but he does have some built-in protection, where if he was deleted, then you could play him from your trash without paying its memory cost if he has Digivolution sources in him. Like, there's still a lot of very, very powerful things that can come out of the Special Booster 1.0. It's just, I think those are going to be the 3 best decks. That's kind of all I have for this video. Feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I will see you in the next video.